All right. So what we're going to do now is basically the process is mostly the same as the rectangular mat, but I'm going to show you about doing an oval mat. And in terms of putting the glue on, it's the same. It's just finessing the back, wrapping the back is different. So I'll probably fast forward through that part, but I'm gonna show you about this. And this is super nice. A silk wrapped oval mat is a super nice thing. The fabric we're going to use for this one is this dark coarser fabric. So it'll give you a completely different look, different experience for, not that you're doing this, I'm doing this, and different experience for how to do it. So, by the way, I think the only way this could be better would be if we were in a classroom together, or if this was live on Zoom, so you could actually ask me questions and we could have a thing going on, you know what I mean? That would be really fun. So who knows, that could happen. But so we're just gonna roll this on the same way, nice and even, right off the edges. And as I mentioned before, you pick up your roller, you don't just go back and forth like that. Pick up your roller and make sure you're doing a really good job getting it down on the bevel. Super important. And if anything gets on your mat, you can pick it off with a razor blade. I almost always use white mat boards to wrap fabric on for a couple reasons. One is that if there's any specks that show up, it's easy to see them, it's easy to get them off. And two, for the lighter fabrics, it gives you a true version of their color. For something like this, if we were to use a black mat board or any other color, it wouldn't really make any difference because it's not going to change the color of your fabric. There we go. I think that is good. So yeah, just making sure you get a really good coverage on your bevel and you don't get any big marks from your roller. It's just a nice even layer of glue. There you go. Make sure that it goes all the way off the edges, which is why we use paper on our table, because it always gets messy. Okay, so what we're gonna do now that we've got our glue, sometimes, by the way, if you want to speed this up, the drying, you can use a blow dryer on it. And like I said, it's still a little bit tacky, but not enough to bleed through. You know, you could leave this for a whole day. When it's completely dry or indefinitely, you could come back and put fabric on it and put it in your press, and the glue will reactivate perfectly. So like I said, this is heavier material, and we've got our orientation. That's the top, and we'll put this on. And again, the good thing about putting the fabric on after the glue is dry, of course, is that it doesn't bleed through, but you can also shift your fabric around, checking to make sure there's no threads underneath, because that's not a good thing. Ask me how I know. After 36 years of doing this, I've discovered some, how would you say, problem-solving measures that sometimes when you think something's ruined, it might not be ruined. Main thing is not to panic. So I'm gonna put our fallout back in here. Perfectly perfect. And now we're gonna put it in the press. So we're gonna take this, and as you can see, this is a threadier material. All right, there we go. And as you can see, we've got a nice crisp bevel there. Very nice. This fabric had a little bit of a flaw in it, but that's okay. It's perfectly perfect for demonstration purposes. So what we're going to do now, again, same as the last one, is to trim the edge. And the part that I particularly want to show you is how to wrap the fabric around the oval. New blade. I go through a lot of blades because blades are pretty cheap compared to mats. So what we're going to do now, you might be asking, is what we're going to do is we're going to trim this out in little segments all the way around. There's going to be little segments that are going to get pulled around similarly to the rectangle. But the thing is, again, you want to go up to the edge by a couple of threads and come down a little bit. And again, there's lots of different ways to do it. You could make continuous cuts, but it gets kind of messy, so I don't like to do that. I go like every every ½ inch or so. And it might get a little messy, but that's okay. Okay. That's basically it. All right. Now, you have this thing. Like so. We're going to use the fabric glue now on the back. You can see how this is kind of messy right now, but that's okay. We're gonna basically go around the edge like so. With our fabric glue. It's nice to have some brushes that you like, that are good for this kind of thing. And basically just work your way around like so. And you can do this depending on how big your mat is. You know, you can, I like to kind of do all of one process and then go to the next. So with this, you know, by the time you get around to the other side, it'll be nearly dry. And since it's the back, you know, you could conceivably start to finesse these over, pull these over while it's still wet. But we'll wait till we'll just keep going so you get the idea. Working our way around here. And this brush is about a 1/2 inch wide, and that gives you about as much coverage as you would want for the fabric to be pulled around on the back. And again, when you're doing these yourself, these are the kinds of things to consider when you are pricing, because there's a lot of different processes involved, and there's a lot of time, but that's what makes it awesome. All the time you put into it and how much you finesse it, and how you get excited about it to your customers has a lot to do with how you will sell them and how other people will appreciate them. That is a good thing. So we've just come around to the other side here.
Could you have used ATG?
Absolutely. Yep, you could totally do this with ATG tape. You can totally do it. It takes a little bit of finagling to turn the ATG tape around the curve, but you can totally do it. I wanted to use the glue here just to show you about using the glue instead of the ATG. You can also use this glue on the edges to wrap your sides as well. So this is just showing you another way to do it. I'm just kind of going a little further here. There we go. Okay. As I mentioned before, one of your good tools is your tacking iron. You can use this to help you pull the strips around the back. If you need to like trim these, this can get a little funky sometimes, but that's okay. You just need to give yourself enough to grab onto it and pull them. So, and like I said, these are about a 1/2 inch to 3/4 of an inch wide, so that when you're pulling them back around this way, they will follow the contour of the mat window really nicely. If you get more than that, they get wider, then it doesn't look as good. This way, you can take each segment and pull it pretty tight against the curve of the mat, which in this segment, you know, there's not a lot of curve to it. And so the idea is when you get done, you have a really smooth curve going on. And I will show you. So you make these strips long enough that you can really get a grip on them. And Okay, so that's basically that. And then what we're going to do, all of these little threads just get finessed back, and we're going to trim these off. There we go. Once again, sharp blades, clean hands, pure thoughts. So basically what we're going to do is trim off these little end pieces. So, you can see how we've got this nearly perfect. And then it's a matter of coming back in here. You can finesse it down a bit more with your tacking iron. And if there are some little places that don't want to cooperate, you can get back there behind the mat again with a little bit of your fabric glue and your paste and your burnishing bone, and you can just keep finessing this. But your tacking iron is an awesome tool, and I've got this turned up to about 4, which is pretty hot. You can just work your way around. There we go. And so basically what you can do from here, there's a couple of things you could do from here to further tidy this up. And I've done many different things. Basically, you could conceivably cut yourself another mat just like this with another oval window that would cover all of this up. You know, maybe cut the window 1/8 of an inch bigger, so it would be an additional mat that would sit behind here, and then glue it on like so, and that would actually tidy this up quite a bit, pretty nicely. And also, one other possibility for finishing off the back side would be if you designed this as a double mat. So you actually had an inner mat reveal around here, that would do it. You wouldn't have to do anything more aside from finessing the threads here, but then you would have your inner mat that would attach to the back and cover all of this up, and that would be perfect. So that's another idea.